This is Dr. John Wyckoff. Today's topic on our podcast, Pathway to Wellness, is methylation. That may be a term that you've not heard of, but it's something that we're just really excited about in our practice, and an area that's really on the cutting edge of medicine, something that's relatively new, really developed in the last 20 years. And methylation involves how our body makes energy and gets rid of toxins, bad stuff. Methylation occurs in every cell of our body millions of times a day. Some people do it well, some people don't do it at all. And the ability to methylate really defines how healthy you're going to be and how likely you are to have chronic disease like diabetes, hypertension, even cancer. So why is this something that maybe you say, why haven't I heard of this? Well, I can tell you very simply, the human genome, the genetic map of human beings was not fully established until around 2004. And in 2004, the human genome was completely mapped, and we thought at that point in time, scholars in medicine said, boy, we are going to solve every chronic disease because now we've mapped out the genes of everyone. Well, it turned out to be a little more complicated than that. And kind of where we've gone in the last 10 years is learning about this process of methylation and how critical it is for us to make energy and get rid of toxins. So methylation is a critical process that happens in each and every cell of our body. You can think of it as like tiny switches that turn important functions on and off and allow our bodies to work properly. Methylation is critical for many aspects of our health, and it's really controlled by just about 5 different genes. We're going to use terms like MTHFR. That is a common gene that maybe some of you have been told you have an MTHFR issue. Genes like MTT, MTR, COMT, ACHY. All of these are terms or types of genes, and we'll learn more about them today. But methylation is overall a critical process, a biochemical process. And if you went down to the biochemistry, it's where a methyl group, that's a carbon and a hydrogen group, are added to various molecules that changes them in a way that your body can use them to make energy or get rid of toxins and a host of other things. So you can think of methylation just kind of like gasoline and crude oil. You know, gasoline comes from crude oil, but we can't put crude oil into our car and I'll have it run. It wouldn't run. You know that. It would gunk it up. So what happens is we methylate crude oil into gasoline. Gasoline is a great product for our gas-powered car. We take it, and the process I use, I'll show to our listeners on video, is we transform it. We change it into a form that we can use to make energy or help us repair our DNA. And how that transformation occurs is really due to 2 things. Your genes. Do you have great methylating genes? And exposure, your environment. It can be your diet. It can be your sleep. It can be your stress. It can be nutrients. So the expression of that gene that may not be working well is called epigenetics. And this is really on the forefront of modern medicine. Epigenetics is much akin to a gun with a bullet in it. You can think of a gun with a bullet as a genetic issue. If you've got a gun and a bullet in it, the gun's loaded. But no one is injured by a loaded gun. You have to pull the trigger. The epigenetics is pulling the trigger. It's the environmental influence, whether it's a virus, a bacteria, a food, a chemical, something that you take in through your diet, not getting enough sleep, too much stress. That's the expression of the gene that we can control. So methylation is a key part of brain development, learning, memory, and oftentimes methylation is involved with chronic diseases of the brain, things like bipolar disease, anxiety, depression, insomnia, schizophrenia. Oftentimes the root cause is a methylation defect. your metabolism, your neurotransmitters that affect your mood, your energy metabolism, how you detoxify. So understanding methylation is really important. These methyl groups are added to various molecules, including DNA, RNA, proteins, neurotransmitters. This process plays a vital role in regulating gene expression, including influencing cell behavior and impacting overall health and wellness. So it's a big deal. It's an area that I think is on the forefront of medicine. I think methylation is something we know a little bit about now. We'll probably know more about it in 10 years. But when we think of methylation, we think of things like DNA repair, detoxification, neurotransmitter production and synthesis. That's how your body makes the chemicals in your brain that control mood. Things like serotonin and dopamine, your immune function, how healthy you are and how you fight off infection, how you produce energy, how you repair cells. So if you're a poor methylator, how do you feel? Well, you probably know people that are good methylators. They're pretty easy to spot. They have normal weight. They can eat whatever they want. They probably can drink whatever they want. They can smoke and abuse their bodies, and yet they're never burdened with chronic disease. They are great methylators. Genetically, they get rid of the toxins. I'm not advocating any of those bad habits because we know that they help in the epigenetics or expression of someone who's not a good methylator. And to give you a scope of the problem is if we looked at genetics as a whole, we would understand that 85% of the population has one or more genetic methylation defect, 85%. And so this is common. There's actually a wonderful book by Dan Purser, MD, called The 85% Solution. I would encourage you to consider that and helping you understand how to address methylation issues. So the symptoms, we were talking about that, include anxiety, depression, insomnia, irritable bowel syndrome. How often are you told you have IBS? You know, it's a syndrome. I mean, when doctors use the word syndrome, they don't know what causes it. It's a constellation of symptoms that make up the syndrome for no real apparent reason. So you've got some gastrointestinal symptoms. You go to see the gastroenterologist. He does a scope, upper, lower, or both. Maybe he does an ultrasound, does some tests, and says, well, I don't know. Everything looks good. No pathology, no disease found. You must have IBS. Well, if you went further upstream, you really probably have got a methylation issue. Allergies, migraine headaches in general, muscle pain. So people with fibromyalgia and their muscles hurt, that's a real disease, a real syndrome. We just don't know, I shouldn't say that. Conventional medicine just doesn't know how to address it. People live with pain forever. Digestive issues, women who have had multiple miscarriages, even autism, even types of cancers. So methylation is a critical process of getting that methyl group transferred and transforming that molecule into a form that we can use. It helps us produce something called ATP. So, you know, the most common reason that people come to see me, either their primary symptom or it comes up in their first consultative visit. And our visits initially are an hour plus at Wyckoff Wellness. We really do a detailed history and physical to really get a scope of where you've been, where you're at, and what we need to do. Is people are tired. Number one reason. Well, when they're tired, it means they're not making energy. And at the root cause of that, it means you're not creating ATP. ATP is your body's energy source. You only create ATP if you're methylating well. Now, if you were listening earlier, we said 85% of the population has at least one or more methylation defect. 44% of the population have homozygous, which is 2-gene MTHFR defect. And that's a big issue we'll talk more about as the show goes on. So disruption in methylation is often related to genetics, toxins, nutrient deficiency. It leads to metabolic dysfunction, difficulty detoxifying, making you sick. It messes up your hormones. reduces your energy, causes inflammation. You have joint pain, muscle pain. You have brain fog, trouble sleeping, anxiety, depression. Maybe you're just you've known for a long time that you're a type A person. Well, and you're driven. That's not all bad. Being driven, type A can be good, but oftentimes that's driven by how your body chemistry is put together. Methylation can be part of that. So how do we determine if you have a methylation issue? There are a variety of ways. Certainly at Wyckoff Wellness, we look at the history, and oftentimes I've got a really pretty good feeling that you've got a methylation defect. And then we really are at a branch of 2 points. One, we can do a simple blood test called a homocysteine. That is a level of an amino acid that's quite an inflammatory amino acid in your blood. Your doctor can get a homocysteine level. You should request one. I get it routinely in my patients. An elevated homocysteine, which is hyperhomocysteinuria, is linked to a myriad of health problems, including hypertension, cardiovascular disease, stroke, neurodegenerative diseases like dementia, Parkinson's disease, and cancer, depression, anxiety, insomnia. So just a simple blood test. Your insurance will cover it as a homocysteine, homocysteine. Ask your doctor for a homocysteine level. The level should be ideally below 7. Up to 10, kind of borderline. Anything above 10, even if the lab normal says 15 or higher, anything above 10 is elevated. So understanding that that's a very simple way to measure methylation, along with a serum vitamin B12 level. Because if you have a significant methylation issue, your B12 will be low. And maybe you've gone to the doctor and he says, oh my gosh, your B12 level is 120 and it should be between 250 and 900. I can guarantee you've got a methylation issue. You've got an elevated homocysteine and a low B12. They go hand in hand together. Why do you have that? Is because your body cannot methylate folic acid well. Well, where do we get folic acid? Folic acid is a synthetic form of folate. Folate is a B vitamin you need. Folate's important to prevent neural tube defects in pregnancy, but it's important for energy and for methylation. Well, what our government has done in their infinite wisdom is they've required manufacturers to put folic acid on all grains. In order to sell grains in the United States today, this originated in the 1990s, they must add folic acid, not folate, folic acid, because folic acid is cheap and easy to put into grain. Now, the idea was we're going to drive down the incidence of spina bifida and neural tube defects in newborns, and maybe or maybe not that happened. But the issue that was created is that 44% of you do not have the MTHFR gene to metabolize folic acid, so you don't. So homocysteine builds up, inflammation builds up. And no matter what you do, what you take your tramadol, you take your Norco, you take your Tylenol, your ibuprofen, you take your Celexa, you take your Lexapro, your Klonopin, whatever it is, whatever pill for whatever ill you have, it's not going to treat the root cause, which is your inability to metabolize folic acid. You want to take a multivitamin mineral supplement that has a form of folic acid called methylfolate. You do not want folic acid. If it says folic acid or non-methylated B12 in the ingredient list on the back of the bottle, just throw it away. It's terrible. Or come to Wyckoff Wellness and we'll get you on the right form of folic acid and folate to help you maintain your health and wellness naturally. So those are simple tests that your doctor can do right now. You can go to the doctor and say, I want to get a homocysteine level and a vitamin B12 test. They're just a few dollars, and by and large, your insurance will cover them. If they're elevated, homocysteine, low B12, you need to learn more about methylation and start to improve methylation. We'll talk about some things you can start on today. Come to Wyckoff Wellness, we might recommend that you do a once-in-a-lifetime test. That's a methylation panel. This is a blood test and a cheek swab test we collect in our office. We submit it to a lab called Genova Diagnostics. They're in North Carolina, and they complete the assay for us, and they measure the activity of those 5 genes, MTHFR, MTR, ACHY, COMT, and the like. And we'll find out, do you have one allele, means you got it from one parent, or do you have both alleles, both parents? So we call it heterozygous. You have one genetic SNP, single nucleotide polymorphism, or you have homozygous, you have 2. If you have one, it's a barrier. If you have 2, it's a major barrier. And then we can help educate you with what you can do to get through that barrier. So the methylation panel is something you do just one time in your life. You never have to repeat it because it never changes. We may go further and do a micronutrient test and measure your blood for 33 key nutrients. Specifically, we're going to look at the B vitamins because the B vitamins are critical for methylation, especially B6, B12, B5. We're going to make sure that those levels are optimal, and we're going to even get them optimal through your diet by eating antioxidant-rich foods, fruits, vegetables, nuts, whole grains. We're going to go light on the grains, but berries, even chocolate, dark chocolate, spinach, artichokes are rich in these protective antioxidants. We're going to make sure you drink plenty of water, at least a half an ounce for every pound of body weight. If you're a 200-pound person, that's 100 ounces over 3 quarts. Get you exercising, walking regularly. We're going to limit smoking or stop smoking and limit alcohol. Try to manage stress, get enough sleep. Get you on a methylated multivitamin and B12 or other supplements and get the right tests that you need to maximize function. That's what we do at Wyckoff Wellness in East Lansing. So in simple terms, methylation is essential for producing and regulating neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine that affect mood and brain health. They also are critical to maintaining energy, making energy. So all of our hormones require methylation: estrogen, cortisol, thyroid hormone, testosterone, progesterone, DHEA, melatonin, and the most important hormone, insulin. Insulin is a major hormone that has so much to do with how healthy we are. We'll talk about insulin resistance in upcoming podcasts. So let's say that you suspect you have methylation issues. Maybe you have a high homocysteine or a low B12. What do you do? Well, number one is you get on the right diet. You get on foods that are high in folate, natural folate. Control your diet. That is number one thing. We want you to get away from processed foods, things that are in a box. Foods that are rich in natural folate include broccoli, Brussels sprouts, leafy green vegetables, peas, chickpeas, kidney beans, and actually liver. And I know that really turns a lot of you on, but liver can be healthy. But certainly those vegetables are really, really healthy. Number two, following a Mediterranean diet, getting healthy oils. Also eliminating chemicals that are part of the epigenetic expression of those gene defects, especially pesticides, herbicides. So I really recommend everyone, when you buy any of your fruits and vegetables, as much as you can afford, get organic, especially your meats, chicken and beef. But if you're not able to get organic vegetables, take your vegetables and fruit home. Before you put them in the fridge or on the counter, wash them. Not with just water, but put them in the sink, empty out the cartons, put a little bit of baking soda, a little bit of vinegar, just a quarter cup of each. Let them sit and fizz for just a couple minutes, and then rinse them off, and then deal with them as you normally would. You can prepare them. You can use them, put them in the refrigerator. They'll stay for a long time. They won't taste funny, but you'll be surprised what comes out in the water. Get those herbicides and pesticides off and eat as natural as you can. Get out and walk. Try to get adequate sleep. And then get on the right nutrients. I think that one of the things that people do need is they need vitamins and minerals to be healthy. We've talked about this in other shows, but what can you do other than eating your diet? You can eat apples and pears and cherries and berries, onions and kale and spinach, green tea, even some wine. Red wine particularly does have activity for you. But get on a methylated multivitamin. At Wyckoff Wellness and through our online store at wyckoffwellness.com, you can purchase Phyto Multi. This is derived from 10 different fruits and vegetables. It's actually equivalent to getting 10 servings a day of fruit and vegetables. Taking 2 tablets or 3 capsules a day. Phyto Multi, PHYTOMULTI. We have it at our in-store store on Michigan Avenue in East Lansing, 1226 Michigan Avenue. Or you can get it delivered right to your home in just a couple days at wyckoffwellness.com. Click on Shop Now or Store, and just in the toolbar, put Phyto Multi, pick the size bottle and the form you want, and any order over $50 is free shipping. So Phyto Multi is an excellent way to get that methylfolate and help you methylate. Number 2, get on methyl B12. Methyl B12 is a special form of B12. You should look at your vitamins, make sure that it says methyl B12 and not just B12 or cyano B12, cyanocobalamin, because cyanocobalamin is a cyanide form of B12. You're getting cyanide along with your B12. It's really a nasty substance. You do not want it, just like you don't want plain old folic acid. Methyl B12. B12 is a little different vitamin. It's very big. It's a macrovitamin. We like to administer it under the tongue. So we have a methyl B12 product in our office. We don't have it available online, but in our office, it's a cherry flavored. It dissolves into your tongue once a day, 1,000 micrograms. Great form of B12. Maybe some B5 and B6. Metagenics, who we partner with, does carry a product called Cortico B5, B6. Really supports methylation in your adrenal glands, which need lots of B5 and B6. Maybe some magnesium, especially if you have a COMT problem, if you have trouble sleeping, if your brain won't turn off at night, if you're an overachiever, you probably have a COMT problem. Get some more magnesium throughout the day, especially at night. And we use mag-glycinate or mag-threonate. We can have both forms of those available at Wyckoff Wellness, and we're happy to get you the right supplements to get you on that path to health and wellness. You can find more information about all of our supplements, about all of our services at wyckoffwellness.com, WYCOFF wellness.com. You can give us a call and talk to one of my patient coordinators. They are well-versed in all aspects of what we do, and supplements included. 517-333-7270, 333-7270, or go to wyckoffwellness.com, WYCOFF wellness, WLLNASS.com, and find out more what we do, or swing by our office at 1226 Michigan Avenue in East Lansing. We're open Monday through Thursday, usually 7:30 to 5, and we're happy to be assistance to you. We have a lot of brochures about the services we do, about the supplements that we have. We actually have information on every supplement because we're that committed to the supplements and getting you on that pathway to wellness. This is Dr. John Wyckoff.